Welcome to Foundation. Today we're talking to Melanie McCloskey, the founder and CEO of StyleSeat. So I'm curious when you first started getting into technology. Like, was it young? Was it later in life?
Well, I had always been interested in it. Like, I was a huge gamer in middle school and like elementary school.
What stage? When did you start off with? Like original Nintendo or?
Yeah, original Nintendo, and then
Zelda fan?
I liked Zelda. I wasn't a huge Zelda fan. I definitely loved Mario. Like Mario was my jam. And then like in middle school, I played a lot of computer games. I was a really big gamer, like MechWarrior.
No way.
Oh my God.
Do you know they're coming out with a MechWarrior movie or something like that?
Actually, in the office, we share an office with another company, and like, you know, there's a lot of nerds in the room, and all of a sudden they're like, oh my gosh, MechWarrior, it's coming online. It was this whole thing. And I like heard it. I like pulled off my headphones and I was like, shut up. And everyone looked at me like, what just happened? And I freaked out, and we all like geeked out about MechWarrior for like half an hour. It was awesome. But I think that's definitely where it started. And, early, you know, chat rooms, just the idea of being able to connect with people somewhere else, being able to talk to them and interact with them and connect was completely fascinating.
So were you chatting with people on like AOL and stuff like that? No way.
Totally, yes.
So you were like one of these anonymous people, and you're like, I'm a girl, really? And they're like, no.
Yeah, ASL. Like, oh yeah,
ASL.
I'm 15. Like, yeah, totally.
Wow.
But that whole thing just really, really fascinated me, and I loved.
Yeah.
I didn't think that I could have a career in it because I wasn't a developer. I'd taken a handful of courses, but it just wasn't my forte. But I was fascinated with everything else around it.
So where was this? Where were you living at the time?
Out in the suburbs in the East Bay, sort of. All of my friends were developers growing up, always, like in high school. And they would always do like LAN parties, and I'd come and just like hang out, you know, or like bring a couple of my girlfriends that were into that. But again, like I wasn't a developer and didn't think that was an option for me. So I guess I didn't really discover that it was an option for me until after I graduated college and kind of came out here and started to meet a lot of entrepreneurs and learned that, I mean, at the time, every founder was, you know, Ivy League. They were from an Ivy League school because it cost so much money to start a company back in the day that you had to be really connected. You had to be connected to someone who had a lot of money. So there was like all the PayPal guys and sort of like those big companies that were being started, but there weren't a lot of startups.
So you moved to San Francisco back in what year?
In, I guess, 2006.
2006.
Yeah.
Wow. So not too long ago.
So long ago.
It is long ago, yes.
It was like so many lifetimes ago.
Yeah, it's true. So basically, when you moved out here, did you just like, what's it like to come out here and get into the city, and how do you get plugged into the technology scene? I know a lot of people that watch these videos are oftentimes, you know, not in the Bay Area. They're like, oh, I hear about all the startups going on out there. Like, if I were to move out there, like, how did you get into the scene? Like, how did you?
I got in a really weird way. My guidance counselor at school, I had academic scholarships like when I was younger, and I was in the beginning really, really into school and could have graduated a year early and that whole thing, but just became really disenchanted with it and hated university. It's part of one of the reasons why I work with the Teal Fellowship now, because a lot of those, the reasons why that organization started, I identify with. But I went to my guidance counselor and I said, I don't know what I want to do. Like, I hate everything that I've studied. I don't know what I want to do. This is, you know, my skill set. Help me figure it out. And she said, I think you should go into PR. Like, PR, I think you'd be really good at that. So I said, okay. And I got a job in PR as my first job out of school. And I couldn't have been more ill-suited for it, because I was working with these companies and they were telling us their strategy, and like I always wanted to talk about the strategy and like build upon it. And you know, you don't really want to, as a product person or as a business owner, you don't really want to, you know, hear about your product strategy from your PR intern or whatever I was at the time. So, but it was really great for me because I started to understand about technology, and all of my accounts became like startup accounts. And I started to meet, all of these key players and investors and lots of different entrepreneurs and just product people. And
so it give you a lot of visibility into the like inner workings of startups without actually having to join a startup, basically.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I was hanging out with all, only people that were in startups, and I was going to all of those events in San Francisco.
All the crazy parties that were happening back then. Yeah,
yeah, totally.
I think we've been to a few of those parties together.
Maybe one or two.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so like eventually I got hired by the CEO of a startup. And that was my first foray into product. And I ended up sort of managing that engineering team and discovered like, wow, like that was the first time I went from, I'm so bored, I hate everything, I don't know what I want to do, like having that life crisis, to this is the most interesting thing I've ever done. And I want to work until 3 a.m. every single day. And sort of the world is limitless. Like building software is the most exciting thing that I can think about. And so I sort of dipped my toe into the water. And from there, I ended up getting a job at Current TV, which is all about Current TV.
Yeah.
And had a little product team there and sort of our own department that we, managed digital distribution for them. I sort of started that, and, it sort of went from there.
Sweet. And so at one point, I mean, Current TV was a pretty big company. At what point did you say, screw it, I'm not going to work for anybody else, and I'm like going to quit everything and start my own thing? Yeah,
it's interesting. I mean,
Did you know you wanted to do that first, or did you have the idea first?
Yeah, I knew I wanted to start a company.
So it was like, it's in my DNA, I'm going to do this at some point.
I've always known I wanted to start a company. I didn't know how or why, or I didn't, think that I could, but I knew that I wanted to. And when I was working at Current TV, it's actually really great sort of step in that direction, because I started a department and I managed, software for that department, and we had a P&L, and, I had to lobby the executives for budget in order to run the department. And so that was sort of like raising money. And then I sort of managed product. And then there were a lot of different components to that. So it was sort of like starting a company within a larger company. And then what I realized is, I was doing all of this work. I was doing the same amount of work of starting a company. I was there until midnight every day. And all of the stresses sort of running this little department, but it wasn't my thing.
Right.
And I realized, that's really what I want to do.
And so how did you come up with StyleSeat? Like what was it, the genesis behind that?
Part of it was because as a busy professional, as a lot of us are, I didn't have a lot of time to think about my hair. And I went and had a couple of different experiences. Finding a stylist is a really hard process, and it's expensive. I mean, if you want to get a cut and color in San Francisco, it's over $300.
That's insane.
Yeah,
it's
a lot.
Are you kidding me?
No.
That's ridiculous.
And it's not like that everywhere, but it is in certain areas. And so I went and did that like 3 times in a row, and I had terrible experiences every time. And I thought, discovery's broken in this industry, and a lot of people are spending so much money. There has to be a better way. And so it was something that I experienced. Like, I couldn't find a stylist, and I'm spending all this money, and I want to be able to do it online. I do everything else online. Why can't I do this online? And the more research I did, the more I realized, it's not just consumers that aren't empowered. It's the whole industry. It's filled of business owners, small business owners. A lot of them are women-driven that are entrepreneurs. They're artists. They got into the industry because they want to be artists and because they want to make people feel better about themselves. And that was really great. It's just that they didn't have a lot of tools to really grow their business. And so I saw an opportunity there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is like, our dogs are like wrestling like mad right now. This is a great example of like Mark Andreessen calls this like software eating the world. Like there's like these industries that don't have a ton of, I mean, I take it there was pretty much no other competition when you got started, right? Like, they didn't really have the know-how or the tools or anything to facilitate making online bookings. Yeah. And this is something you had to create from scratch.
Well, there were a handful of companies doing peripheral things, but no one had come into it with sort of the vision that we had about it. We came in and we said, we want to build something that just gives them immense value from day one. And so we knew that was just helping to manage your relationships with your clients. Whether you already have an online booking solution or not, you want to really build on the relationship with your client. And we knew the product that would really help that on the first day that they got set up. And we built that as a mobile app. So that was sort of our first step to helping them. And we saw so much pickup just with that first product that, that allowed us to raise money. We bootstrapped the company for the first year, and we were hanging out, me and my co-founder, Dan, hanging out in salons and spas every single day and talking to all the different types of professionals and, building the software. And they were sort of like, there's nothing out there like this. What are you doing? Like, who are you crazy people? And but we just wanted to make their lives better. And we built product that, when we first launched it, had a huge amount of virality and became like fairly sizable in a short amount of time, just because it was something that they needed and they loved. And they were telling every hairstylist that they knew about, this product that they had. So that was really powerful for us.
So talk to me about how you went in to create this. I mean, so you have this idea. Do you go and then did you find a technical co-founder? Because you said you weren't coding yourself.
Yeah, I found a designer that I bought a couple beers. He was my best friend. I bought him a couple beers and said, after he was drunk, I was like, you need to design my company. And he goes, okay, fine.
Amazing.
So I threw him a couple points, and he sort of built the first version of the product. And then I took that to a developer and said, hey, will you code this for me for free? Will you build me a prototype? And he said, okay, fine. I got him drunk too. So that was...
So alcohol is the key to all things for you, basically.
And then once I had sort of a working product and that design was already intact and we had a brand, I reached out to Dan Levine, who was one of the first developers at Current TV. And he and I had worked together, and he's completely brilliant. He had been recruited by the CIO of Google at the time to go off and do a big music project. And I basically pulled him away, and I was like, you're making an incredible salary and you're living a great life and you're sort of this, VP traveling the world. Why don't you quit your job? I can't pay you. You're actually probably going to have to put like 6 figures into this company to help us get started. And he immediately, without blinking, said yes.
Wow, that's insane. Did you also get him drunk?
No, I didn't. I got him drunk with passion.
Nice. So was it difficult putting together your first product? I mean, what's it like? Like, did you wireframe the actual idea yourself?
I drew it all in a notebook.
Yeah.
I had just like binder paper, and I drew out every single page and sort of schematics on like how the pages work together and what the experience is like and the goals for each of those. It's that product piece that I have always loved. Like, that was the fun part. And then had the designer sort of build those out. And then once we had that, it was really easy, or it was much easier to take it to a developer and say, this is what it is. This is how it works.
Right.
This is why it's valuable.
Right.
And then also sort of show him why it's a big business. And I found that to really be a good way to get technical people into building a hair startup.
Right.
Which
that's got to be kind of a hard sell for a lot of geeks, They're like,
totally,
to want to work in the
and
hair.
Investors too. I'd say like 30% of VCs are bald.
Bald? Nice.
Yeah. So they immediately, there's
like,
that.
This doesn't apply. You're like, sir, do you have back hair? And they're like, I do. And you're like, done.
Well, there are so many meetings where I walked into the room and I saw the person face to face, and I was like, this is going to be harder.
Amazing.
But yeah, you just have to work that much more on like the analytical side of the business and proving it out just sort of on paper or, via a presentation, and you can get them. Yeah.
So, I mean, what was it like to pitch your idea to investors? I mean, was it through all friends referrals that you got these meetings with investors, or how did you even get in?
The first check came from a friend, and he basically said, we'd known each other for a long time, and he said, I believe in you, and I'm going to write you this check. And that first check allowed me to quit my job. I had a bunch of savings and things, but allowed me to quit my job and not have to work for 2 months or 3 months or something, so that I could sort of get things started. And after that, I found another investor that was my first advisor as well, and he said, okay, I'm going to write this first check, and I'm going to be sort of your name to back you on AngelList. So then we went out to AngelList and got an incredible group of angels on board.
That's interesting. I hear a lot of people now are all getting funded through AngelList. It's crazy.
It's pretty big. I mean, social proof is really important, especially for me, where I'm asking people to give me hundreds of thousands of dollars, and I'm not a developer and I don't have experience, and it's a hair startup where there's none of them. Like, we had a lot of challenges. And so for us, having that social proof and, you know, people that I had already known for 5 years and who sort of, they were like, I don't know about this, but I believe in you and I believe you're going to make something happen. That was sort of our route to funding.
So it sounds like you get your technical team in place, you buy them drinks and you get your design in place. The flip side, though, is you build something and now you have to get people to use it.
Yeah.
How do you go out there and I mean, I can't imagine that, I would say of the hairstylists that I've met, they don't seem to be the most tech savvy people.
Yeah. How
do you get them into using your product?
Well, they're not tech savvy because it's not their world.
Right.
I mean, they spend 100% of every day like talking to people face to face. They're not in front of a computer. So when they think about technology, it's on like a Sunday night for 20 minutes or, Facebook, you know, it's just not part of their life like it's part of ours.
Right.
So I found that our pitch was, we're going to give you something that can help you improve your relationships with your clients and grow your business. All of them said, yes, I want to do that. And so it was a matter of like, let's build a product, let's get a bunch of them in a room, serve some champagne, and then let's show them like, here are the challenges and here's what we want to do. And here's an app that you can try out and let us know what you think. How
was the penetration on smartphones? Did most of them have iPhones and Android and things like that?
Yeah. You know, when we first started the company, Facebook wasn't as big as it is now, and at least in the hair world. And, you know, they weren't in front of a computer, so there were more challenges. And then sort of Groupon came out, and it was the first time that small businesses that were not part of technology learned, wow, technology can help us.
Right.
And then Facebook started to really blow up in the past couple of years, and they said, wow, you know, this can be valuable for my business. I don't know if these solutions work for me. You know, in many cases they didn't. But we came along and were able to say, like, you like those tools, you know how much value that brings to some people, we're that for you. And so that was kind of the sell to get it in the door. And I think when we went out on AngelList, we had 10,000 stylists, salons, and spas.
That's insane.
Yeah, so that was part of the first year of bootstrapping. You know, I was literally going door to door.
That's crazy. 10,000 that's a pretty insane number.
It was a lot. And
have you grown significantly since then, or?
We've got close to 60,000.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, so that was about a year and a half ago. And also, like, the solution now is completely different than it was then. It's we run their whole business as opposed to, you know, helping to manage their clients and CRM and market and things like that.
Cool. So what kind of tools are you talking about when you offer? I'm fascinated by these businesses that you actually have a clear way to make money. Like most startups I meet with, they have like really cool ideas, but they don't make money. Like, have you figured out how to monetize this? Like, do you charge per seat, or how does that work?
Yeah, there's two components. One is sort of like a traditional SaaS play where we're running your business, and so it's. I'd say there's three components. So we're freemium. We're completely free for most of the salons and spas that run on our platform, and there's no one else that does that. So we tell them, you know, we're sort of like a social network that also runs your business. So all of a sudden they go, oh, okay, I love Facebook. You know, I love these tools. I love talking to my mom and posting photos. So, you know, it's that easy to get set up, and all of a sudden they have this website to run their business, and it has photos and their services and information, and their clients can write them recommendations. And so we sort of hook them with that web presence, and it connects to Facebook, and they have their own Facebook like button. So all of a sudden, for the first time, they've got the opportunity to really grow online word of mouth. And then from there, we say, give us your client information. And, you know, we sort of help say, you know, we do this for you. We can also actually help bring your clients back more often. And we can help get the friends of your clients to come to you, you know, through recommendations. And so we sort of like, you know, help to support bigger pieces of their business after we get that hook in. And then all of a sudden we're running their whole business.
Yeah, I can't imagine traditionally they probably wouldn't have hardly any of these tools to deal with managing their clients, right? Is it just like when you walked in before, was it just typically like they had like a list of names and numbers?
It was pen and paper. That's our biggest competitor.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
So they like manage their schedule with pen and paper. They've got a client list, and they don't really send them emails. They don't really do any specials, or they do, but it's kind of off the cuff. And so we help them, you know, drive word of mouth, in such a bigger way, through the internet. And we have systematic ways for them to grow their business. And, we bring that value in the beginning. And then we say, if you pay us a monthly fee, we've got even more premium tools, like scheduling tools and helping you prepare for taxes and things.
Oh, that's cool.
We get a monthly fee through that. And then we also help them grow their business. So if they want to get new customers in the door, they want to get their customers coming back more often, we have those tools to help them do that very easily, and then we charge on a per customer basis. So we take a % of those appointments.
I see. So where do you take it from here?
Well, right now we're really focused on those proof points. We're not in scaling mode. We're in how can we grow any business in as short as time as possible and bring them as much money as possible.
Does this expand outside of just hair, or I know you do massage therapy as well. Mm-hmm. Are there other areas you eventually want to tackle? Because it seems like this platform that you're building, there's so many mom and pop style businesses that just have none of these tools.
Yeah.
Couldn't you create more of a white label type solution for pretty much everyone that needs this type of
It's definitely
framework?
An option. And the way we've built the software, it's very extendable to different types of verticals. But our strength is in that we've pulled together technology and experience that's really suited for a stylist, a esthetician, massage therapist. We've got personal trainers. We've got sort of beauty and wellness professionals and small businesses. We know their business in and out, and we can really help them in the first second. And so staying true to that, mm-hmm. there are a lot of ways, directions that the business can go up and down. We can help sort of along that chain within that vertical. Mm-hmm. If a horizontal play becomes interesting and is presented to us, then, we could go down that route. But right now, we're really focused on beauty and wellness.
Yeah. Awesome.
And it's a huge industry. It's a $78 billion industry.
That's a big industry to tackle. Yeah. Well, very cool. So one thing I always ask when I wrap up interviews from entrepreneurs is, oh yes, Toaster, I know. Sorry. Is one thing that you've learned that you would tell anyone out there, over the last few years in doing this? What's one thing that's really stuck with you that you'd always take with you to your next company? You'd always do it again, and you'd always give as a piece of advice. And then on the flip side of that, one thing that you really screwed up on, where you're just damn, I wish I could have avoided that.
I would say, don't sweat it. I remember when I started a company, I was just, I started the company because the excitement about doing it suddenly outweighed the fear. Mm-hmm. I had been fearful for 2 years. I sat on the idea for 2 years. And then finally it was no, I really want to do this. And I don't care if I fail. And fail in the eyes of
so
my
that was
friends.
the tipping point for you. Is you're I'm too excited about this. Totally. I have to go do it.
I'm obsessed with it. I was completely obsessed with it, and I realized I'm not going to be happy until I do this, and I'll succeed or fail, and it doesn't matter.
Has it ever felt like work for you, or is it?
No.
See, that is what I'm talking about.
I can work until 3 a.m. I do all the time. My team thinks I'm completely nuts. I'm responding to them really late, and I actually have discovered a service that lets you send it later. So you can send emails later. So if I'm sending emails at 2 a.m. on a Saturday, it's kind of creepy. But if I send them to go out at 7 a.m. on a Monday.
Oh, you should do it. Keep it at 2 a.m. because then it looks like you're just this badass that just never sleeps.
I love it. It's sort of I can go out, I can do that, or I can really get this thing done that I want to get done, and or oh my gosh, I have this idea, and I just do it until.
How do you find that balance between work and going out and having fun?
There's no balance.
So you just blend it all together, or you just don't go out as much as you used to?
Yeah, I don't really go out. There's no balance. There's some entrepreneurs that I've met that are you just have to balance. You have to build it in. It doesn't matter, at what critical level you feel the business is at. You have to unwind. And then there's the entrepreneurs that are no, you go on vacation for a year after you sell your company in 5 years. There's no, you don't go on vacation when you have a company. Yeah. So there are merits of both. I haven't found balance. Yeah. But I'm fine with that. I love it.
Yeah. I got burnt out. So I wish I would have found balance, but that's another story. So the one thing that you really screwed up on then?
I wish we'd gone faster.
Hired a team quicker? Or what was it that you felt went slow?
I'm the most impatient person I know, and I wish we'd gone faster. I just know if we'd gone faster, so much more could be done, but maybe you would have tripped and screwed up. So it's kind of...
How do you achieve that though? Like that was one of the things I always struggled with, because like, you know, it's funny you mentioned working till 2 a.m. And like when I was really passionate and all in on Dig, like I was pouring my heart and soul into it. And then it's really like, you know, you almost can't expect everyone else to feel the same level of passion because it's your baby.
Yeah, but you
know?
do because you're unreasonable because you're founder.
Right, right. So how do you go faster? Like I've never been able to figure that one out myself.
Well, there's like the Steve Jobs approach, which is you can move faster.
You're like,
you're
fired.
You're tyrannical, and you know, you don't test everything. I think we tested a lot of things. We're extremely analytical and, you know, very much the agile startup. And so we tested everything and sort of moved in that direction. And I sort of think like there were things that I knew that we didn't need to test that we could have moved a lot faster on if had we just gone for it. I think, another sort of challenge can be being swayed by large companies. We had a lot of large companies come after us in the very beginning and sort of promise us the sun and the moon to work with them because we were serving such a need for customers that were important to them. And so we spent time talking to them and saying like, oh, but you're one of the biggest companies in the world. You know, there were a couple of them pursuing us aggressively for a while, and you can get distracted with that stuff.
That's a great piece of advice. That was extremely distracting at Dig early on. Is all these companies, you don't want to say no, because you're like, oh, this big company's interest, and I get to meet this person. It's gonna be exciting, and then
acquisition offer or whatever,
and then you lose like a month of time. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
And we knew we weren't gonna sell. You know, we kind of knew it, but we were just so excited about it, and you don't want to be rude, and it is incredibly flattering. And but at the same time, like I sort of knew in my gut that it wasn't gonna happen, so we probably should have focused. But it's hard. It's hard to like, you know,
hindsight. Yeah, totally. So tell me about the site. Where can people check it out? It's obviously live now.
StyleSeat.com. You can go and book any beauty and wellness professional online. You can browse. We have new client offers. So as a new client, you can get a great price.
Can I have like, I know you do some real-time stuff like availability, and can I like get massages on there like in real time? Like this person's available right now?
You can see who's open like within the next couple of hours.
See, I love that. That's like the best feature. I've been waiting for that my entire life.
Book it online, book it from your phone.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Appreciate it.